Hello, and welcome to the PokéBoys Interstitial episode. We have a nice, fun little episode here lined up for you in between seasons 1 and 2. We thank you for joining us. We hope you liked season 1, and we hope this holds you over until season 2 comes out. We're really excited about what's to come. But in this episode, we got a chance to sit down with a really awesome YouTube Pokemon content creator named Infamous Trainer. He reviews a lot of the Pokemon anime series. He likes to review and talk about fan-made regions and fan games, ROM hacks, and he's creating his own fan game. And we got into all of those topics and a few more in great depth here in this episode. So stay tuned, enjoy the interview, and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought, and go follow Infamous Trainer. He's awesome. I hope you enjoy. Hello, welcome to PokéBoys. We're having a special little interstitial episode between seasons here. I think this is going to be kind of a trend that we do after each season. We'll try to get a cool Pokemon content creator guest or huge Poke fan on and talk to them about Pokemon. So that's what we're doing tonight. My name is Mike from Showboys, joined as always by Jared from Play Along Podcast. How are you doing tonight, Jared?
I'm doing fantastic, Mike. It's good to be here. Excited to talk more Pokemon for sure.
Yes. And we're joined by a very special guest, a super awesome PokeTuber, podcaster, Pokemon lover, Infamous Trainer over on YouTube. Thank you so much for jumping on tonight. How are you doing, bro?
I am doing good. Took a nap, so I'm feeling pretty rested up.
Oh, you're
well,
ready. You're ready to go.
Yeah. After work, man. I work early too, so I was like, I need the nap anyway. But yeah, man, feeling great and excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm excited to get to talk to you. I forget exactly how I stumbled onto your channel, but I've over the last, Jared, how long would you say? Maybe like 6 months to a year. I've like completely tripped down the rabbit hole of fan games and ROM hacks.
Oh, dude, this man, if you guys don't know, this man has spreadsheets of fan games and ROM hacks. He's always sending me new ones to play, and I'm like, I'm here for it though, because I'm always trying to find new games, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's rough. I cannot recall. I stumbled on your channel several months ago. It's been quite a while.
Yeah,
but I don't remember exactly how. But it was it was either the series on Calamity or one of your videos where you review other people's regions or Fakemon or things like that. Okay. And I was like, oh my gosh, these videos are so awesome. And then that just like poured gasoline on the fan game like fire that had started in my basement here. And I was just like, oh, I need to find more. I got to find more. There's so many.
That's where the addiction started. That's where the fan game addiction started.
It's an easy one to hop on. Once it starts, you find out there's so much more in the background. So many things being worked on that just the community has no insight on. It's kind of crazy.
And like the ideas are so solid.
Oh
yeah, well thought out.
Good regions out there. So many fake regions people are making. It's wild.
They're unique in every single way. Typically, most people find my channel through those two methods. Whether it's me just reviewing one of the regions I covered and just like, hey, this was really cool, and doing that. Most recently, it's been usually the African/Egypt region. That tends to be, it is my most popular video. As of recently, it's been my Legends Celebi video that I covered. A lot of people found me from that. So they were like, oh my goodness, this is a great concept, which is crazy because I didn't make it. I just wanted to talk about it.
Here, I'll take it though. I'll take it.
I was like 100%. But I also do have some people who found me from Calamity, which I'm super proud of. So that's always a big one for me as well.
Yeah, we'll get into all of that good stuff later on. But first, since we just finished season 1, in season 1, I know, Infamous, you're a huge fan of our Pokemon podcast. I'm sure you've listened to every episode. And I'm totally joking right now. You probably have no idea what we did in season 1. But for season 1, we decided to do a challenge run through Pokemon Black, a randomized ROM. We did a Nuzlocke. Well, I did a Mic Lock, which is a heavily modified
version of a Nuzlocke.
Less punishing Nuzlocke.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we just wrapped that up, and it was my first time playing through Pokemon Black. I had never messed around with this generation before. So I wanted to get your thoughts on Gen 5. Like, what do you think about Black and White? You like the games? Any Pokemon kind of stick out to you? Or
ooh, that's a good question. This is obviously like really hot right now because it is the next game lined up in the remake realm, right? So everyone's like, is it gonna be like a BDSP thing where it's just 1-to-1 and people didn't like BDSP? So we're all like, please don't.
Please don't do that.
Please don't. But as far as Black and White, as a kid, I remember I had a friend who had White, and he was like, hey, you can borrow it. Here you go. And I said, okay. I played some of it. I was like, you know what? I'm just not feeling this. Like, this something about that generation, because it was just that fresh reboot. It's that 100 plus new Pokemon. It is just that reinventation of the game. It's like, where were they going? These Pokemon are weird. Some are spiders. some are weird. How do we work with this? But as I've grown and I've driven into more Pokemon, I actually appreciate Black and White for being brave enough to do a full reboot. Pokemon's not known for taking big leaps and bounds, but they went crazy. You could not use any of the Pokemon from the previous game for majority of that game. And I've come to I hated all the Gen 5 starters at first, right?
I was in that same boat. I was like, man, none of these are hitting for me.
It wasn't, especially non-surprising, my favorite Pokemon to Infernape, for those who've seen my channel, right? So when you slide in Pignite, and I'm like, another firefighting type, and it just doesn't compare. But I've grown to appreciate what the regions dropped. First of all, a lot of good music in Gen 5.
Many good tracks.
As I've grown into this community, and I have so many friends that appreciate the music, whether it's Japanese openings or just any town music. That game has some banger songs in there.
Driftvale City just hits different, dude.
Just a bopper, right? And I always like those, and the gym battles are actually more fun than I remember them being when I played through. I went back and played Black and White about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was like, this game is actually way better than I remember it being. And it has started to introduce a lot of those things in current games we like reusable TMs. I went back and played Gen 5 games or Gen 4 games. I'm like, why aren't the TMs reusable? This is stupid. The fact that I can't use multiple earthquakes, I'm like, it makes no sense. And they started to open that up, right? And how EXP shares starts kind of pointing the direction of where it wants to go. It's just those cool features and functions that in this day of age we can't live without. And even some of the Pokemon Haxorus, I'm a huge fan of now, just by using it in some competitive battles and stuff with friends. It's been super cool. Superior has become one of my favorite grass type Pokemon. Just learning more about
Superior, man, is disgusting.
It's crazy in battle, but even down to its lore and to the Fakemon side of it and creating Pokemon, you just look at all the aspects of it's the royalty Pokemon. It has a design for a reason. The name has a purpose. There's just all these cool elements that they introduced. I wish there was a little bit more of the US aspects in there, but there is a good amount. That's the only thing I wish from Gen 5 that they had. But overall, fantastic games, fantastic region. Everyone wanted Black and White 3. I wouldn't be mad with that, but
I'll take it. I'll take it as the next game. I'll take a Black and White 3.
As long as it's not like BDSP, I'm cool for whatever. I'm down.
Yeah.
Give us a Legend games with the Black and White lore. That would be so good.
That is a highly requested. I've gotten that for people to make a video on, which I'm like, I don't make these kind of concepts, people. I just don't. But I have like other content creators, like I think his name's like Ryoma Art, who's doing like a Pokemon Legends Kyurem, but it takes place into like a 19s. It's like detective era where everyone's a detective in Unova. It was actually really cool how he kind of just added some cool perspectives on there, and like certain parts have like cowboy elements to like represent that time. Cool. It was really, really cool. He's still working on it. He has a couple parts in there, but that's a really requested one. Between Legend Celebi and Legends Kyurem, those two are like the top two everyone wants.
Dude, there are the Legends line has so much potential, and I'm so sad that Arceus is pretty much all officially we're going to get. Which makes me so sad.
I have a feeling in my heart and my soul that's it. They're like cool, we did this. Now we're gonna move on to something different, which is gonna be heartbreaking because it was so good.
Yeah.
They're fools if they do. That's just money on the table. Literally, if they want, it's kind of weird though, because I feel like they would go milk it. In my opinion, right? Gen, like they love anytime they can dip into Gen 1. So any like Legends Mew game or something, they're gonna I feel like at some point they're gonna have to like jump back on that wave. And it was received super well. It's actually made a lot of people's top 3 favorite Pokemon games of all time. And it's, I will say though, replaying it, you really can't replay this game.
That was my biggest thing with Legends too. It was great, but it was like I kind of don't want to do all that all over again.
It's the tutorial is about like a good 2 hours, and it's just a little unbearable because you're like, I have to sit all the way through this, and I have to spend all this time. And like the catching perspective is really cool until you're like realizing, oh, I have to play through this game again and recatch all these Pokemon again. And it's just not the way. But shout out to anyone who did like challenge runs on that, because you were insane. I would
doing challenge runs with Legends Arceus was wild.
Oh man,
I'm so ready to just take this entire episode and just talk about Arceus, because man,
such a great game.
The new concept of the Pokédex and how you complete it was
I loved it.
Masterful.
Oh yeah,
so cool, and it made sense lore wise. It gave you reason to catch more than one of the same Pokemon, like gameplay wise. It was just so good. I loved filling out the pages. I think I 100%ed like every page.
Crazy.
I was gonna say like this was the first game in a while. I usually don't complete Pokédexes. But I was like, you know what? Especially considering that they had all the extra like Arceus like stuff at the end. I was like, I'm gonna complete the and it was good because knowing that I didn't have to go out of my way to go through a battle, potentially die, and then do like it. I can just sit in the grass, pop a few smokes, capture,
and just like toss balls at people as they come through.
It's so much easier than me having to say, oh cool, I get to battle an alpha every single time I need something. It was just a lot more convenient to do the decks, and I think that's why a lot of people enjoyed it. They're like, cool, I don't have to battle every second, every day just to play Pokemon, which is cool.
Yeah. I wonder. I have mixed feelings too. Like I think most people about a Black and White remake. Like one of the things that I found so like charming about it though is like those DS graphics. I love it. I love them so much, and it's gonna make me so sad if we get
just port the Black and White DS version to the Switch. That's all we need. That's fine. We'll take it.
Don't even get me started on the lack of availability of the Pokemon catalog on the Switch. I will be triggered beyond belief. Just like, I'm gonna talk about money. I would give you all my money to just be able to buy games on the Switch instead of emulating them on my phone, even though now I got the Steam Deck, which is
probably nice.
Oh my gosh, all I do is start emulated games on there. It's really it's a real issue.
I think why a lot of people didn't like BDSP and you know, as a kid, I grew up with Pearl. I played Pearl, even though I know it's supposedly the most superior one out of whatever, right?
No. Pearl, you're right. Pearl is the best.
Look, that was what my aunt gave me, so I played it. All right. So the biggest issue with BDSP is it's just too faithful. That was the issue. It was too faithful, especially when you have a game like Platinum out. That was the issue. Platinum literally
at least do platinum. Like
that's what everyone thought, right? Everyone was like, cool, we're gonna have platinum. Like, no, we literally got BDSP transferred over, and then for some reason they decided to make getting legendaries harder. This is the one game where I did not go for legendaries because the aspect of me having to spend hours at a time in this underground digging away, hoping to God I don't find the chip and then it breaks off. Like, it just, I was so over. I think I got like one Reggie, and I was like, you know what?
You're like, I'm good.
This isn't worth it. Like zero like interest in this at all. So I think if they do black and white, I didn't mind the chibi style.
Yeah,
I think the one thing I would have liked for one is better scaling. I feel like they always make like Pokemon scaling in games a little bit weird. Legends did it great. Like the scaling in Legends was fantastic. When you see an Alpha Steelix and you're going against that and you're using your tiny starter, that scaling is
see that difference.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah. Don't do BDSP where like every Pokemon's the same size. It makes no sense if Voltorb is as big as Onyx. That makes no sense at all. Like, just get the scaling right and just kind of just introduce those features. There wasn't reusable TMs. Bring those back. Make sure it has those kind of quality of life changes that we already appreciate now with updating the game. It doesn't have to be a complete 1-for-1. And then I know some people are like, hey, where does that leave Black 2, White 2 if they go this route? There's no chance that they're going to do back-to-back remakes. So I don't know how that goes.
I wonder if they just meld them together. Like meld that narrative somehow. Like it's like Black 2 is just post game and you just play through all Black 2 in post game.
Oh man, I don't want to put anything past Pokemon. It's just, it took forever. It took a while for people to even say they liked Black and White. It was known as the most hated on region. Now people are like, you know what? We hate Gen 2. That's the one we don't like. We don't like Gen 2. We like Gen 5. And I would hate for that, like Gen 5 to now get the setback again, just because Pokemon went a weird direction. It was cool that they went with a different team so they could work on multiple projects at the same time.
I think that's why they did that too. Because they had Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet running in the same time, so they needed someone else to do that. So
it was crazy, but I don't know. They're running a high risk. Black and White are like super favorited games. It makes a lot of people's top 2, 3. They just have to be careful, especially after the feedback from BDSP. They have to play it smart if you're, whatever they decide to do.
Yeah.
Will they though? That is the question.
That is true.
we do not know. But that's cool. Jared, you want to dig into some of this anime stuff? Because I know that you're like chomping at the bit.
This is my so like Mike was talking about the fan games and all that, and that's how he found you. I found you by some of your anime reactions.
Oh, there we go.
That's me. I love the anime and everything like that.
Love that.
So before getting into some of the big stuff, is clearly Ash winning the championship, stuff like that I'm curious your opinion on. Where did you start? Did you start Indigo League? Did you start OG Pokemon? And which generation of Pokemon anime is your favorite?
Oh, great questions. Okay, starting with the first one, I started with OG, watching that bad boy on Cartoon Network, like most kids probably, right? Super fun time. My brother wasn't as much into it, like he knows Pokemon and he plays it from time to time, but I was the Pokemon kid, all right? I was any chance I got, like I had the spread, I like the bed sheets for it, the comforter,
the comforter, that blue comforter with all the Pokemon on it.
Yeah, I was set. I had actually a blue and a white one. I was stoked. Right, so
the whole room decked out.
Just watching it with my mom would, because the bedroom was in her or the TV was in her bedroom. So from time to time she'd watch it with me. So we're watching Pokemon together and just watching those episodes and hearing Ash and going on the adventure. There's just so much to Pokemon with the imagination you could add and the animation. I was just so intrigued. I didn't follow Johto all the way through. But then I went back and I watched a couple things and stuff like that. It's kind of harder when you're watching it just on like a Cartoon Network, because now you're just catching glimpses of episodes.
Right. You also have to catch it at a specific time too. Like you miss that time slot, you're done.
Done. God forbid you oversleep and you get the tail end of the episode, right? I was always upset, especially if it was like an episode where like a battle just happened. I was bummed.
I remember being devastated as a child and like wake up 10 minutes late and miss an episode.
It sucks. But yeah, I've always enjoyed Pokemon, the anime. It's just been It's been really great. As far as my favorite season, it's gonna be Diamond and Pearl. I remember.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
I remember sitting. I know most people say X and Y, and I get it. Yeah. X and Y is the most shonen version of Pokemon.
100%, 100%.
But Diamond and Pearl is just something that I remember. It was like they announced it. They're like, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, the anime is coming. I was like geeking out in the living room. I'm like, oh my God, it's coming. This is it. And just watching it, hearing the intro music, seeing Ash come back with the new fit. He's got Apom with him. I get to see Chimchar for the first time on screen. I'm just losing it. One of the best, my favorite rival of all time, Paul's popping up. Episode 1, I went crazy. For sure, that's my favorite season of Pokemon. Yeah. It introduced, again, a lot of the Pokemon that I love. It introduced I think hands down the best Ash rival of all time. Gary is great. Alon's awesome, but Paul is that man who challenged not just Ash on a level of battle, but also just in mindset. Like, hey,
messing with his mind. Yeah,
like beating him almost every time. It was really cool to see just the character be so contrasting. And even going back and watching like episodes, like my favorite battle of all time is Ash versus Paul. It's a tie. I love the Lake Acuity battle, but I also love just their Sinnoh League fight. It's good.
It's so good. And then just like there's so much character development in Gen 4, especially with the Pokemon, like getting Infernape at the end and tackling Blaze and how he was abandoned by Paul and everything like that. He got that redemption at the very end. Oh man, it was so good. No, I love the Gen 4 anime, and that was the first one that I like prepared to watch. That I remember like, oh, okay, it's being announced, it's being set up. I think that was the first generation I found out about Cerebi. So like remember seeing the starters like leak on Cerebi and everything like that too. But no, the Gen 4 anime is really good. X and Y is up there, but you're right. It's very shonen anime. They leaned into that. Although those champion fights are animated so well.
Oh yeah,
it's so good.
Beautiful. They did fantastic work. I had never dismissed X and Y, though X and Y fans a little toxic, not gonna lie. Like I appreciate them, but they're toxic because they just think this is the best series. But I like Diamond and Pearl because it still has that classic Pokemon feel to it. But it comes off of that previous series where Ash was the most cocky he's ever been. Ash is humbled this time around. His mindset for battling has changed. His appreciation for Pokemon's changed. You can just see that growth. And it just always bugged me that they were like, oh yeah, just because we have to continue it. Here's Tobias, and he's gonna like just destroy Ash, and you're gonna accept it.
I wish I would have seen more of Tobias's team. I wish I would have known what other legendaries he had, because I guarantee that team was stacked with legendaries.
Oh, it had to be. There's so many theories. I know one of the bros, the PokéRaf, made a really fun video on just like what the team could have been based off of a couple inserts from the Japanese episodes and like little news articles, which is really cool. Team could have been crazy, but just even him starting off with Darkrai alone was just nuts.
You're like, oh, it's done, Ash. You're done. Cut it off.
Was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, dude, you're already finished. He's like Darkrai's taking out 4 Pokemon by itself.
You're done.
FF20.
What I loved about Diamond and Pearl 2, this was the first series where he brought back OG members we haven't seen in a while. It was hitting hard. Not even Pokemon Journeys did this, right? Pokemon Journeys brought him back to do some whatever training they did.
I just watched that episode that you did on what his like potential team. Also, that was like beautifully drawn. It was so good.
Dude, it was so cool just to like see what if they went this way. But I like Diamond and Pearl did this. They brought back and evolved Ash Pokemon, and it was a beautiful segment. You made him lose at the end for some reason. I don't know why that was a thing, but like I feel like Journeys could have did that. Still had him win, but just knowing that he could have won with iconic Pokemon like Charizard, like Sceptile, would have made it better.
They must have known as they were starting Journeys that this was going to be like their send off to Ash, right? They must have known that like this was what they were going to do. Yeah. So like you were said in that video, they could have leaned so much into it. They did like towards the end where he kind of brought some of his team in, but that final battle with Leon could have been wild with his old Mon.
Could have it was great. Like the final battle was greatly animated. Like you could just see the quality had stepped up, especially in that last episode. But just imagining, and I don't hate on Surfetched, doing big damage against like Cynthia. I got hot takes on the Pokemon anime for Journeys. I'm like, look, I love Ash. That's my boy, ride or die. But let me tell you, him winning against Cynthia and then winning against Leon, they stretched it. I'm gonna tell you,
they really did. Because I mean, so much throughout the show in this series. Well, Cynthia especially, like Cynthia is a heavy hitter, and Ash has battled Cynthia a couple times too. But then like Leon too, as Leon being the best trainer in the world, undefeated kind of thing. And then it's like, okay, didn't he? Who did he fight? He fought. Did he fight Alon or did he fight?
No, he fought Steven, which Steven, I gotta be honest, that move at the end, I've never seen more of an Ash pull in my life. They just decided it's like, oh, we gotta make sure he wins. I understand Z move.
Got that plot armor.
Right? Oh, thick, right? I made some shorts about the plot armor, and people were upset in the comments. I was like, look,
there, guys.
You can't get mad at me because he wins. I'm just pointing it out. I have never seen a move miss 3 times and then still hit and win. That's insane by itself. I get it's a Z move in the game, they don't miss, so they try to interpret that into the anime. But if it missed 3 times, you can't make it up. You can see Metagross dodge it. It's crazy to me. But they definitely, I just wish they tackled it just a little bit better. Or even in situations where, again, Metagross, Pikachu were cool, but bring in Sceptile. Bring back Sceptile for that one fight. Hoenn Ace versus Hoenn Ace with Steven. That would have been even cooler for fans to see, and it would have hit that nostalgia for anyone who watched the Hoenn series, but you don't get that. You just kind of have to accept that, Ash's champion team for, Journeys is his strongest team now. That's just his strongest Pokemon.
Yeah, and I go back and forth because I loved Journeys because I think Journeys did a lot for the Pokemon world to feel lived in which other generations of the anime haven't, where it's like, this is a world of Pokemon. They're traveling to Johto. They're going to they're going to all these other generations as well. And Ash's team reflects that by his team having Pokemon that aren't just from the generation that the game or the show is taking place in. Yeah, but especially 100%. If they knew they were setting up this send-off for Ash, that's where like the bittersweet comes in, because I feel like they could have leaned so much. He has so many good Mon. They could have leaned into that instead of just like tacked on at the end with like 6 episodes or 10 episodes or whatever it ended up being, where he's just traveling with, his team swapped up every now and then.
Which of his Mon would you have loved to see the most?
It's Infernape, right?
Like, I mean, 100% Infernape immediately. But I think even bringing back like that video that I made recently, bringing back those Pokemon that hadn't evolved or didn't have much screen time from the Black and White series. I love Scraggy. I think Scraggy is one of the best comedic Pokemon Ash has ever. He's started as an egg. He loves to headbutt people. It's just a kid with a tantrum. Why not add that in? And then, for example, like in that same video I mentioned, he battles Iris. Axew and Scraggy had that relationship. It was built since the beginning, right? Imagine you have a full circle moment where you have these 2 Pokemon from these 2 trainer friends that are also best friends that are now going to battle in their final forms. It out. Like it's just a full circle moment of just showing their growth.
That would have been so good. And then it would have been better if they evolved it, because like Axew got that treatment where it would turn into a Haxorus. So Haxorus v Scrafty would have been such a cool fight.
Oh, would have hit. And I feel like there was opportunity, but they didn't seize it. Like, I don't know if they just didn't see the vision or what. I always wonder, like, can you guys get some fans in the room? Just
bring us in here. We can help you out. We can help you out.
Just get 10 fans in the room. Let them pitch a couple of ideas of like upcoming episodes. Hey, we have this battle, Ash versus Iris. What would you guys like to see in that battle? That would have just changed so much. Like, I get it. I know they have budgets and time constraints, and obviously the pandemic made that a lot harder for everybody.
100%.
But oh God. Just blowing up things. But I feel like there is so much more opportunity. They could have just introduced so many cool aspects. And Journeys is a weird spot. Some people hate it. Some people are okay with it. Some people actually love it. But it is Ash's last series, so that is also why it holds so much nostalgia at this point and so much heart. But I just wish they had just insert just like old Pokemon here, old Pokemon there. would have changed the whole entire outcome of the show.
I need to know though. Sorry, Jared.
No, go for it.
Where did your like Pokemon love start? Was it the anime? Did you play the games first? Were you a trading card guy? Like, what got you into Pokemon?
So I guess I would say originally starting from the anime, just watching it. And then like I had always known about games, but never had one of my own. So I was always waiting for that day when I get the Game Boy and I get you open up the package and you hope it's Pokemon, but it's always Super Mario and you're like, this is fun, but I really wanted Pokemon. So it started with the anime because I get a representation of what these Pokemon should be like and move like, and I already kind of have some options. So like even before I got my first game, I knew which was a Kanto. Basically, I played Fire Red. I already knew I'm choosing Charmander just based off how he is in the anime. I love how he carries himself. Charizard's also just really cool. You kind of can't pass him up. So I was like, that's gonna be my start of the first game that I play, and it surely was. And then once you dive into the games, I always love to try to grab my Game Boy whenever an episode comes on. So I'm like playing Pokemon while watching Pokemon. It always just like filled the room up with like just my happiness. I'm like, dude, this is it. This is peak infamous moment. I'm just playing Pokemon while watching Pokemon while sitting on top of Pokemon sheets.
It's everywhere. This is my personality for life. Like this is it. Like I'm good. I mean, and they did an amazing job of like hitting all three of those things: cards, anime, games. Because I feel like I play them all kind of like at the same time. It kind of just all happened, and like shout out to the marketing team. They do a great job with getting managing all of those individual things because it's massive now. It's so huge.
Cards is one that I feel like I should be into more.
Yeah,
obviously it really blew up again during the pandemic. That thing was just skyrocketed. Cards were one per customer per store. At that point in my life, I was working at Best Buy, so I had people all the time coming in. Just you got Pokemon cards. I'm like, dude, like we're just sold out. Like you guys want everything. I don't know. I work here and I can't get any. So that's how hard it is.
Crazy.
And I wish the funny thing is, literally on the floor behind me, I have this box, not from last Christmas, but the Christmas before. It's like this full Pokemon box set. I just have not opened it. It's just, I'm just like, I don't know what's stopping me. I always look at them like, I should open that one day.
And then just never do.
I'm like, there's probably some really good cards in here. I wouldn't know because I don't open the box. And I also got another like card set for Christmas. And they're like, oh yeah, like here you go. And I'm like, oh man, now I have two of these. And just again, I never have. Like we're in July and I got that last Christmas. They're both just sitting.
Now you can't. Now you just have to.
I was like, at this point, you can't open it now. You gotta just keep it sealed for now.
Just gotta leave them sealed, I guess. Maybe when I hit like 100K, I just open up all the cards I get. I don't know.
That would be really cool. That's a good thing to do.
That might be it.
I like it.
So I'm curious. We talked about Ash and leaving the anime. How did you, for someone that grew up watching the OG Indigo League, how did you feel when they announced that like this is it, this is going to be it for Ash?
Okay, so I thought about this on two fronts.
Okay,
and I was slightly in the beginning, I was a little denial. I was like, there's no way.
They're not gonna get rid of my boy. They're not getting rid of my boy.
Because when you think of Pokemon, and for most fans, there's two things that are iconic in my eyes. It is Pikachu and Ash Ketchum. When you search up a picture of Pokemon, usually Ash is somewhere in the Google search images because he's such an iconic character. He's been the character for 25 years. There's not many characters that make it that long, right? You have Goku, Luffy, but like you don't have many characters making it that far. And like when you look at other series like Bakugan, Yu-Gi-Oh, like they're usually switching their characters or there's like big gaps in their series. So I was like, you can't get rid of Ash. And to me, I'm like, and I thought this was so weird, knowing that Paldea was next and he had the champion rank. I'm like, there's never been a region more set for Ash Ketchum in my life. And you guys decide to get rid of him now.
Dude, I was waiting for the Nemona Ash meetup, dude. I was waiting for it.
Oh, I feel like they had such a chance, but like hearing the news, I thought of it on two fronts. I was like, "Oh, this sucks," because like it's just Ash Ketchum. This is a character I grew up with, and then the other side of me was like, on a content creator side, this sucks because I don't have anything else to make. Because if this man's gone, what am I doing content on?
What am I supposed to do?
He's the driving force of the Pokemon anime content. Everything is centered around him. As much as people don't like to think so, if I make a reaction on Go or versus an Ash reaction, like which one's gonna do better. It's easily gonna be an Ash related video. So it sucked on both fronts, and it's still even hard to accept. I've done a couple polls over like the last little bit, just like, do you guys miss Ash? Do you guys want to see Ash? Are you guys even
totally
like
not me coping? I'm just reading research.
Oh my goodness! And like the results are like, I did like this poll. I was like, are you guys even watching the new series? I think it had like 53,000 votes, and I think 70% said no. They just because they like Ash is gone. I don't care to watch anymore. Which I'm like, honestly, I don't. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I honestly get it. I see what you're saying. But it was just a hit. Like my character that I've spent 25 years knowing.
I was gone. Like my heart, my boy, he's gone.
I think only thing that made it worse, and I feel like you might, step into like in a couple minutes, but aim to be a Pokemon master did not help it. And I think that was also just the issue. As a farewell series, this was probably the worst way you could have ended Ash. Right? Like and the journey wasn't great.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you too, is aim to be a master, because at this point, Ash is world champion. We're getting that. We already know about the goodbye at this point. We're like, okay, cool. We get 10 episodes or so. This is the Ash send-off, right? This is their send-off for it. And it, as much as I liked aspects of it, like I loved Misty and Brock coming back. Like I loved that aspect of it. And I loved him again using some of that team.
Yeah.
I was like, I was expecting so much more for that send-off.
Yeah, I think, and like a lot, me and the boys have talked about this like on our pod, and then it is the worst send-off you could have given Ash Ketchum. I feel like a character that's been this marked in the anime for so long, right? And you give him filler. It's just what it is. Like,
you know what? You're not wrong.
It
was
sucks.
filler.
So you introduce Latias, which is obviously a character that either people ship with Ash or want him to capture, right? It's one of the two, right? So I'm like, cool. We get a nice Latias storyline. No, Latias is in the shadows majority of the entire thing, right?
100%.
And a lot of it's just like hopping to this random place, hopping to this random place. I like the idea of him bringing back his older Pokemon, like you said. Yeah. But they could have done that during Journeys, where they had a full series to do it.
An entire anime series to bring back those teams.
Would have been better. And I feel like you're going to end off Ash Ketchum's adventure, tie up loose ends, right? Yeah. See how like it was cool that we got the idea like Paul is transferring and becoming a gym leader. That's awesome. Yeah, what about all those other characters that we don't get to see very often that we would like to know where they're at? Ash has so many people he's met throughout his journeys. Didn't even touch Primate. I'm a little salty.
Oh, my boy Primate got shafted, man. He did not get any love.
No one cared. I'm like, is he still boxing? Is Apom still doing ping pong? Like,
he's still there boxing in the background.
I'm so confused. I feel like there were so many things they could have just went back, touched on. Again, having Misty and Brock, super cool. Love seeing that they just that iconic trio coming together once again was awesome. I feel like they like hinted at him being the world champion with that one like just ending of the episode. I was like, he's the world champion. I feel like more people should be aware of this and announcing it. And that was one thing about Journeys is they never announced that Ash was like the Alola champion. It wasn't up until like the Masters 8 they were like, oh no, he's somebody. Now before that he was like, it's just Ash Ketchum.
It's just an Ash. He's just a guy.
I'm like, come on, he's garnered up a big title and now two big titles. You gotta give him his props. But like to me, he should have caught Latias. I feel like that was just a bare minimum.
That would have been so good. That would have been so good if he caught Latias at the end.
And then even if they didn't, I honestly would have gave them brownie points if they said, you know what? All I wanted at the end, obviously he gets these new shoes, he runs off. Where was the Ho-Oh battle? Where was Ho-Oh at all? I get just nothing. You introduce a character, a Pokemon that's set for the next generation in the first episode of Pokemon. Big brain, really setting up for the future. But they never just allude to this Pokemon and the ending of Ash's adventure where they like it makes zero sense.
Yeah. What's worse is that like that very last episode of Aim to Be a Master, like I thought that's where they were gonna go with it because of how that last scene was going. I was like, oh, he's gonna look up Rainbow, Ho-Oh.
Be nice. Nothing. To me, I feel like if they wanted to end it on a super epic note, just like maybe he had the new shoes on and then it cuts to like some other scene. Maybe you think that's like the ending, but it's not the end. You see Ash like on a cliff. You see Ho-Oh kind of sprout up and they're about to battle. And that's the cliffhanger. Dude, I would have been like, that's it. That's cool. That would have been awesome to see.
You're right. Because I mean, the whole time he says he's like, yeah, he's the world champion, but he's not a Pokemon master yet. Yeah. Like he keeps saying that he still has room to grow. I don't know. I almost wish like, if they cut it off when he won the championship and just ended there, because this Aim to Me Master was so much of a tease of like so much potential they could have done, and then it just wasn't.
Yeah, it really sucked too, because when you follow the flow of where the anime went,
yeah.
First of all, Masters 8, which was fun. They had some breaks in between, filler episodes in between.
Yeah.
It was the momentum would go, it would get hyped because you know a battle's coming up, and then the battle would end, and then you have filler, and you're like, why? You guys are just killing your momentum every week. You guys have a break or something. Yep. And I don't hate Go, but his episodes for Project Mew were garbage. And
I did not like them either.
They were not good. And so you have this momentum where you just came off of Ash versus Leon. You're in hype. You're like, oh my goodness, what could they do next? Project Mew. And it's garbage. It's not good.
You're like, I just want to know about Leon.
It's just, at this point, you just want to skip to you like, what's the ending coming to, and how's that gonna work for Ash and Go? But a lot of people did feel that way. They feel like honestly, it should have just ended with Ash versus Leon. Did Go catch Mew? We'll never know. They can just leave it there. But
leave it at the cliffhanger. Well, and then for me, that leads into my hesitance with Horizons going forward. I was like, I don't know how to feel about this. This is not, my boy Ash is not in it. There's these new characters, anything like that. But I actually have enjoyed a lot of what Horizons has done. How about you? How have you liked the new anime going forward?
That's the thing, is Horizons on its own is great. I think the introduction of Liko is a character that, for one, is different from Ash in a lot of ways, right? Ash was, as much as we love him, he was kind of stupid, all right? He just wasn't,
he was stupid and he's cocky, and he got himself into a lot of trouble that way.
And where Liko is more methodical, and she's a little more reserved, more of an introvert. Honestly, how a lot of people are nowadays. It's just it kind of relates more to the current day of people. And for one, the animation's amazing. They since they have an actual like battle director, they're killing it. The battles look fantastic. You're introduced
cinematography for the battles are so good. Yes, they're fantastic.
And then you introduce characters like Freed, who's just pretty much Ash energy the whole time he's there. He's got a Pikachu with him. So obviously that was one thing I was wondering, like, how are they going to introduce a Pikachu into the series? There's no way they do a Pokemon series with no Pikachu. That just doesn't that doesn't work. But I think Captain Pikachu is a great spin on that, because it's not just like Ash's Pikachu with a hat on. It's actually
right. They made sure to make this Pikachu different from Ash's Pikachu, which I really liked. Which
I thought great spin. I think Horizons is great. What's killing it though is it's just there's no touchback for old fans, right? It's you're now convincing someone who's watched the anime for 25 years with a certain character to now hopefully jump on this new train with a character they know nothing about. And a lot of people did not make that jump. They just went on that boat with Ash and said, we'll see you later. All right.
Well, that's a big risk to have no familiarity at all. Like aside from like Pokemon, because people are playing through Scarlet and Violet. So you see those Pokemon, but just like essentially be like, hey, those past 25 years, forget about that. Here's the new thing. I can see for a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to watch this or anything like that. But
I was like the black and white version of the anime.
It could be like the fresh start, because I always think of like in the aspect of another series like Dragon Ball Z, right? Dragon Ball Z is a super long run anime. What if they decided after Super, NZ Super, it is just Oob and whatever happens? Would people still watch Dragon Ball Super if that was the case? I don't think people would, because characters like Goku, Gohan, Vegeta are too iconic to the series. We're like, man, it just doesn't hit the same as these characters that we've grown up watching on the screen for so long. And I know people are just like, bring Ash back. Just bite the bullet, guys.
I know people are like, adult Ash is gonna be in this. He's Liko's father. I was like, bro, you guys are. I think this is a stretch a bit.
Super reach. Let me tell you, as soon as everyone was like, picking it off, that's Ash Ketchum's daughter. That's Ash and Serena's daughter. I'm like, look, guys, there's not more of a reach you could ask for. Like this, just let it be.
There was no way. There was no way they're doing that.
I think that's also one thing that holds Pokemon back, is obviously the fans are really stuck in this nostalgia format. When you remake Pokemon, anything cancer related 15 times, they might do that to the community a bit. So I fight for the anime that kills it too, because people are like, nah, we don't want the new. Yeah, it's cool, but we don't want the new. And I think what also hurts the anime in that sense is the English dub is months behind. So you can't even get the US or the English audience on board with this new series, because they're watching it 6 to 8 months after the Japanese episodes are out.
Right.
Like I'm finishing whole arcs before anyone else can watch here in the States. So it is hard to like keep that audience going. That is going to really, I feel like eventually it's going to pick up. Something big is going to happen.
Yeah.
To where Pokemon Journeys is going to skyrocket. But up until then, it's going to be in the spot where everyone's like, oh, well, another week of Horizons.
Yeah. I would say like give it a chance for sure, because
everyone
if you can lean into it being different, you can accept that this is a different thing. It has a lot good going for it. Liko is a really well-written character, and Roy is just a ton of fun. Like, he's a fun character, and the lore with like the Pokeball and everything like that, like they're starting to build up a lot. Liko's Crystal, they're starting to build the lore for Horizons, and it definitely has some potential for sure. So I'll give it a chance, because like Infamous is saying, some of these battles animated beautifully and choreographed so good. All the Sarah-Ledge fights are just like, oh man, they're so good.
They're up there. I feel like people I always tell everyone who's like asked me like, should I give it 100% give it a chance and see if you like it. Like, if you don't, watch the first 2 episodes. If it's garbage, turn it off. Like, that's just all it is. I think that this was some of the best first 2 episodes of a Pokemon series. It just really captures right away. You kind of get interested in what's going on. You're introduced to all these interesting characters. Amethio is one of my favorites. It's just this kind of giving like this Paul Alon energy, and I'm just like, I'm here for it. I want to see what this is going to eventually turn into. I know the one hesitation is, even though there is cool battles, there's not like a consistency around. A lot of people watch Pokemon for the battles. They want to see Ash versus whoever, right? And there's not like a designated character for that right now. So this is also throwing people off a little bit on.
Right.
Oh, when's Ash going to battle? Oh, wait, there's no Ash. Who's going to battle any gym leaders in Paldea? We're going to see Nimona take that role, but we also saw her and she's not taking it. So.
Well, and that's the problem too with like, I think you're right. They set up a lot of like really cool and really interesting characters, but they all kind of shared the spotlight. I mean, clearly Liko and Roy are like the main characters in this, but they're all traveling together. Like, they all have as much screen time as one another. And we saw Roy fight one of the gyms, but it's like, is that going to be his role? Is he going to go for the gyms in Paldea? Is Liko, like we saw, we know Nimona going to, but like, who's gonna fill that, like, I'm gonna give you the badass fight scenes, like who's gonna be the one to do that for us?
It's pointing towards Roy, but one thing I'm concerned about is, in comparison to any other Pokemon series, no one's caught any Pokemon.
It's been like what, like 12
episodes
or so.
We haven't caught a bird, not a Pidgey, not a Halo, not like just nothing. I'm a little just shocked by that. I'm like, there's so many opportunities to catch something. And I feel like one thing I really am excited about for this series is to see, or I guess any Pokemon series, is to see what the main characters catch, because they tend to boost their popularity, right? Honestly, I would not care about Muck if Ash didn't catch one. I kind of like Muck just because purely off Ash caught. There is Pokemon that I catch and will add to my team just because Ash had it. It instantly steps it up to a cooler Pokemon than I would like. Dragonite, I never liked Dragonite. I never cared about Dragonite in my life. He caught that thing in Journeys, and I said, Dragonite is not
Dragonite's on my team now. It's a mainstay.
And over time, it has officially become my favorite pseudo legendary, which is crazy by itself. So it's super cool just to see. That's the influence the Pokemon anime has. Just they have to market it right and get these English episodes out. Like, start pushing these bad.
Start cranking them out, because that's going to be your biggest barrier right now. Is that like unless you're willing to watch Japanese and even sometimes subtitles, and even sometimes not. Like, sometimes a lot of the stuff I've found just isn't subtitled.
Just the raw Japanese. It's hard. I'm not gonna lie. Even I had like one reaction I did because I just couldn't wait and I wanted to get the reaction out. I just reacted to the raw episode, and I think I caught most of it. But there was like one or two people like, man, you should have just waited for the subtitles. This, that, and the third.
No, dude, I've been the same way. I'm just like, whatever. I'm just gonna watch it. I kind of can get from like contextual things what's going on. I don't need like the dialogue. I'm fine. Yeah,
it's the only time that I worry is like when they change like a move's animation. I'm like, oh, is that Mega Punch, or is that like Dynamic Punch? Is that like, I don't know what kind of punch it is. I just assume it's this one punch, and then someone, of course, will be in the comments and say, no, it was this move, and I'm like, of course it was.
Of course you do more. Of course you do.
So you brought Ash back up, and here's my fan game version of Horizons. The Pikachu shows up, and it's Ash's Pikachu, and he's coming to tell the protagonist that something terrible happened to Ash, and we got to go find Ash. He washed up
boy.
somewhere in Paldea. No, that was terrible. We'll just pretend like that did not come out of my mouth. But no, let's get onto the fan game stuff here, and I really would love to pick your brain about Calamity.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So, like, first off, how did you find the realm of fan games, ROM hacks, and on top of that, like, what made you go, all right, we're gonna roll up the sleeves. I got an idea. Let's take a crack at it.
Yeah. So I've always, there's so many amazing Pokemon artists in the world, right? Made an Instagram to market off my current, the content I had going at the time, which I think was just anything Pokemon journeys related. I was just like, cool, let me just use Instagram to start talking about my content, get it out in the realm. And then as I started following just like Pokemon accounts that got suggested, and I was following a person out, and he was like, really cool Fakemon art. I'm like, what is this? Click on it. And then it's just kind of like I went down this rabbit hole of just finding hundreds and hundreds of artists and so many cool designs and concepts and just ideas. And I was like, this is, for one, no one's making content on this. Why is no one talking about this? There's designs that are just better than Pokemon. It's like, sorry, Pokemon company, they're just better than what you guys are producing right now. There's some incredible people who have that vision. And I was like, someone should show these off. Like, maybe it should be me. I don't know. And that's kind of where I kind of started. And once I did one, then more people started reaching out and saying, hey, like, would you like to show mine off? I'm like, let me see what you got. Flip you. Holy crap, these are really good. I try not, and from that perspective, I try not to look at all of them so I can give that genuine reaction when I go through and I look, because I am looking at a lot of these Pokemon with the audience for the first time. I'm just like, oh, this is cool. I'm like, I haven't seen them before. I usually get a friend to just compile all the pictures together, put it in the folder, and then I can open it up later and just start recording off rip. So and that works really well. But just going down that rabbit hole, I see so many different ideas. Everyone's basing theirs off of, different countries, or some are just going to like certain states. I'm like, there's really, it's whatever you want to do it on. Typically, it's those people go for like a country or a certain amount of states in an area or something like that. And then eventually I got to a point where I was like, okay, I've shown enough regions. I've looked at enough Pokemon. I've looked at enough how to draw videos. It's time to buckle down and make my own.
It's time to do it myself.
Roughly about this time, you had other content creators like True Green 7, Birdkeeper Toby, Lockston. All these big content creators in the space are now making their own Pokemon regions. So I'm like, dude, he's got so many ideas. Cool. And then I see like Zach's making his region, and I'm like, he's got so many cool ideas with Larimar. And I'm like, you know what? It's time to sit down and do this, right? I had some previous drawing experience throughout high school and a little bit of college. I was like, you know what? Cool, we're gonna go get some equipment. Let's get started. I just went equipment first. I was like, we're not even like, don't even worry about the concept. Let's get the materials to do this bad boy, right? So I went and bought like a Wacom tablet.
Nice.
Hooked that bad boy up. I hated it. I said, this is terrible. Something about me drawing but looking down, but then
I need to use the screen.
Look forward. I hated the aspect of like I'm not seeing the medium I'm drawing on. I'm now having to like hope when I do this that it actually shows on the screen correctly. It just wasn't working for me. So I returned that and got an iPad as another option, which I love so much more. The iPad with Procreate has been phenomenal.
Procreate is such a good app.
It's so handy because the iPad has a pretty decent battery life. You can take it with you. It's like when I went on vacation, I take with me and I draw on the flights and everything. So that was really cool. Nice. And then just buckling into Calamity was first just creating the names, getting ideas. I was like, what do I want? What am I bound to? And then I realized that I'm unlike other creators in the space. A lot of people are locked into, I'm making my Pokemon region on Australia, so I'm locked into these certain animals. Then I was like, that sucks. I don't want to be locked into any kind of like particular animal or certain set of Pokemon. I said, I'm not basing it off of a country. I'm not basing it off of 100% of this or 100% of that. I really wanted to allow my just imagination to go wild with this region. And that's where Calamity came into play. I was like, cool, we're going to name it Pokemon Calamity. I think so far when I searched Instagram at that point in time, I was like, cool, we're awesome. That's different now. There's like 3 different Calamities on Instagram. So that's just what it is. So then I said, cool, what am I going to base this off of? At the time, I was watching Black Clover pretty heavily. So I was like, I like the aspects of Black Clover. It's kind of Pokemon-esque. You got elements in here. You get specific elements. You have these creatures. You have different magic types. What can I do? I was like, cool, I'm going to pull aspects from this, but then kind of not really, but then kind of sort of. We'll just kind of see how it goes. And I know like one thing when I did my first video, which was the starters, everyone was like, all right, I was like sitting down. I was like, what is my starters going to be? What's cool starter Pokemon? Like there's so many cool options you can go with. Do I go with like the Zodiac sign for the fire types, the typical thing? Do I go with like the ancient prehistoric dinosaurs for the grass Pokemon? I know water Pokemon are based off of they're based off of weapons is what I guess the community has settled on. And like I guess if we want to tie some of those back in, I can't say anything for the grass starter, which is he's based off a wallaby. I just wanted a kangaroo Pokemon. I could
we need kangaroo really Pokemon.
Cool. I just want a proper kangaroo Pokemon, and it just kind of fit the bill. I can't tie that in. Maybe that's a prehistoric kangaroo I don't know about, or some kind of prehistoric kangaroo dinosaur. Sure. It's tied in with that. And people ask, I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. That's pretty much
whatever you want. That's fun.
Yeah, like I did choose from the Zodiac for the sheep for Charwool. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go. This one's like pretty cut and dry. At least at that point in time, Coco destroyed that. By the way, that is like no longer valid. But I went into it and I was like, for the starter, for the fire Pokemon, I want something different. I want something unique. And then after seeing Scorbunny and a couple other Pokemon, not every Pokemon needs to have a fire tail. And I was like, I don't want a fire tail this time around. I just want something bright and cute. And that's where the fire starter came into play. And it was based off the Zodiac. And then for the water starter, I purely just wanted a water monkey. I just wanted to complete the trio. So like you have Rookie, you have Chimchar, and then you have my starter as well. But I was like, to spice it up so that this doesn't just look like the horrible Sinnoh monkeys, I was like, I want to actually make this a little bit cooler. So I added the electric typing onto it for the complete line. Just from the beginning, you get a water electric type starter, something different that no one else was really doing. It is a weird typing to go on immediately. And then I did my real world research. Like I pulled, it's based off the Paddis monkey, which is the fastest land-based monkey.
I'm here for the obese monkey.
I mean, you gotta. Maybe if I do another region, I might have an obese monkey. That was one thing, and I guess if we want to based off a weapon, it's based off a taser. That's sure we can go with.
There you go, electric typing.
Yeah, so it was just really coming down to just sitting down and drawing some of these Pokemon. There's a few that I did have commissioned just because I was going through a stage where I was drawing so much and then working on videos so much, my hands started just cramping up really badly. I was just pretty much overworking it because I was like, cool, I'm gonna do 4 designs a day and I'm still gonna make a video and I'm still gonna go to work like a regular person.
And you're like, nah, that's not happening.
Not how it works. So going through that pace, but a lot of what I loved about it too is I met so many artists. Like, hey, I'm new to the platform, guys. How's it going? And there's so many people who are really nice and like, hey, this is how you draw this. Or like, I'm like, hey, I'm a beginner artist. That's how I met a lot of my good friends that I work with now. Just through that, I'm like, you guys are amazing. And then obviously, I don't like drawing people. I think it is drawing hands and fingers and shoulders. Yep. I hate it. And that's where like Diesel came into play. I met him on Twitter. He was like, hey, I'm a fan of your content. I've seen your region coverage before. Dude, I would love to work with you. I know you said you're looking for an artist to draw the characters for your region. I'd love to do it. All right. Me and him went back and forth. We discussed some pricing. He gave me a really good pricing for everything. I couldn't pass it up. I was like, this pricing is just bonkers for what you're offering. And you know, he's a very cool friend today, and I check on him from time to time, and he's still I know I'm a little behind on Neo stuff, so I'm still waiting to show up like Gym Leaders Elite Four. And I know he's super proud of what me and him sat down, and we would speak for a couple hours each day and just break down what's the design going to look like, who we're inspiring, who's kind of being the inspiration for it. But yeah, it was just a matter of like, I am going to create a region. It's no small task. I will tell you that it is not.
It seems like a mission. It seems like a mission for sure.
you need time. You just need to sit down and commit time to it because you want to sit there. You have to kind of outline the basics for a Pokemon region, right? You have starters. Right. You usually have some regional bird, regional rodent, usually some regional dog. So you break down kind of like the bare necessities of what it is, right? You have like your Lucario, Zoroark type Pokemon.
Right.
You know, do you have a pseudo legendary? It doesn't have to be dragon. I went basic. I chose dragon. I was thinking about a second one, but I was like, just the amount of work to make a second one was just going to be a pain. And then you can kind of fit the slots. You're like, oh, am I hitting every single typing? I realized later that I did way more ghost than I wanted to. So I have way more ghost in my region than I initially was like, okay, I planned for. I knew my region was dark heavy, and I kind of did that obviously from the Black Clover inspiration. Yeah. So that was like gonna happen anyway, but there was like certain typings. I'm like, oh, there's like only 2 fairy Pokemon. I need fairy Pokemon. I need to balance this out a bit. So I went back to the drawing board and just wrote an idea. So between using Google Sheets, Google Docs, my iPad, I'm just flowing. Just flowing through, man. I'm just like,
I love Sheets. Anytime we get a good
Mike and his Sheets, he loves it. He loves it.
Sheets is super helpful. It was great for like collaborative, work too.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, this episode is actually brought to you by Google Sheets.
My Sheets.
No, so was there any part of the development process? I mean, you're still in that process, right? Like it's not complete yet, or is it?
That's a great question. More or less is done. Here's the part that I've stumbled upon where I'm like, ugh, what do I want to do? Is originally I didn't think of a gimmick for this region. And I was like, I'm kind of cool with it not having a gimmick. Making gimmicks are hard. Like, shout out to the Pokemon Company, because I would say with Gen 6, Mega Evolution is the most favorite thing on the planet. Right? Everyone loves Mega Evolution. I'm gonna be honest. I think Mega Evolution at this point is annoying just for the fact that it hits. For one, it gives Pokemon who are already good even better stats. I'm like, you guys could have carried that to the trash Pokemon and made them solid. And then, of course, they have never carried over. I guess they carried over to Gen 7. But since Gen 7, we haven't seen Megas touch Surface again. And we honestly, it looks like they don't ever want to touch it again.
I don't think they're coming back. I don't think
they got that anime ho-oh treatment. Like, 100%. Remember that cool thing? Yeah, we're never gonna go back.
We're never doing that again.
It does not exist anymore. So I'm like, it's so rough. So now that at least they're hitting on the point of, hey, you got to make sure you have a gimmick that can cover every Pokemon. And then you can like have something special for those few, right? And that's kind of like where we are right now with Scarlet and Violet. We have terrestrialization, concept's cool. I actually enjoy it quite a bit because since I've been diving more into competitive Pokemon.
It's so really fun and competitive.
It's a really cool concept. But then where's the spice, right? Yeah. Where's the really cool terrestrial thing for Skeledirge or whatever other Pokemon is going to kind of get that treatment? There's nowhere they're not going to do something enhanced. I know everyone recently has been thinking of like a Terra mask with the DLC, so everyone's going to get like
their forms, a new form for their
like Skeledirge, like all the starters. Hopefully, all the starters. I feel like it's weird
at least the starters. God,
right? Starters. I can see Tinkaton getting one because it's just so popular. Yeah. And there's some other options they could also jump into with that, but I didn't initially think of a gimmick. So I was like, you know what? We're riding in the deep, no gimmick. We're going to go just all Pokemon.
I like the no gimmick, though. I feel like we don't need a gimmick for every generation. Like, Pokemon itself and catching Pokemon is entertaining, at least for me enough. Like, I'm fine with just that in general. Like, I don't need a lot more for that.
You got a cool story and some cool new Pokemon or regional variants. Like, you don't need to throw anything else in there.
I was like, so this is where I've been. This has actually been like as of like the recent like 3 or 4 weeks. I've been like back and forth, just like, what am I gonna do? So I'm like, I have a gimmick for an idea for a gimmick, which was again tapping into the Black Clover realm. I just recently the movie popped off. I watched it. That movie was amazing. But then one thing that I realized with the character that I really like, which is like Asta, Noelle, is they all have these transformations, right?
Yeah.
For specifically Noelle and they start diving into like spirit transformations. Now it's like that would have been a cool gimmick to have spirit evolution to a certain degree. Not in the fact of me having to fully transform the Pokemon, but in the realm of Black Clover, they kind of just more give them like spirit armor. And I was like, that could have been a cool concept to add to my Pokemon. So for like Shrubberoo, which is the final stage of the grass starter, he has like a spiky tail. What if I added like spiky aura to like the tail and like his arms and things like that, and that boosts up his defense or something? Like I feel like there was a concept there, and I still kind of like, do I want to play with this concept? Do I want to draw this? The really thing is, do I want to draw it? Especially knowing what I have planned next for the series, which is going to be a really cool cultivation of my love of the anime, love of fan games. I'm in this realm where I want to bring my two entities of content into one.
Right.
So I'm like, do I want to add this? Because this changes up how I want to really get things played out. But I'm thinking about maybe we'll shift that to the back. I'm back and forth, but
Is there anything besides the gimmick aspect that maybe like surprised you during the development process? Maybe something that was harder or annoying more so than you maybe thought, or maybe on the other side, something that you thought was going to be like mega complicated and you're like, oh wow, that was actually like super easy. I did not expect that.
There's a couple. So for one, naming Pokemon is harder than it looks. Man. Shout out to people who can just name their Pokemon on the first try. Like the starters alone went through so many name renditions. Going through like, because to me, it needs to roll off the tongue. It just it needs to. It can't be like complicated and clunky to say. It should roll off pretty nicely, and that's just where I was consistently. I was like, this name makes no sense. I needed to like flow, and then you don't want to just say like, water monkey. How can you spice it up? And shout out to my Discord. They were really great with giving me names, and like aguaki is agua, like Spanish for a water, and monkey. And it I was like, this is big brain. This is great. And we just started I started asking my chat and just people, the community, like, what do you think about this? Do you have a comment I could insert? So that became a pain because I'm just like, I want these names to represent the Pokemon and what they can be. And then sometimes like drawing them is a pain. Like I guess that just comes with the territory. Like Pokemon have weird aspect ratios. Like for a starter Pokemon, the head is at least 1/3 of the body, and then you have to like scale the rest of it down. It's meant to have a big head, little body. So you can't just take real life animal and then Pokemon. It just doesn't work the same. So you have to make sure like different aspects of the Pokemon are like shaded or in a certain way, or their like arms are huge. If you're gonna represent like a super strong Pokemon, or if they're really fast, like maybe you give them like sleeker legs, or there's just so many aspects, and there's so many different ways you can interpret the same Pokemon. If I were to say, make me a ghost dog Pokemon, it's gonna be drawn so many different ways.
Right.
So how do I draw it to where, for one, it doesn't look like other artist Pokemon that I've already made? Because the last thing I want to do is be like, oh, yours looks like this person's, or yours looks like Pokemon, right?
And there's so much out there too, so that's hard. There's so much.
That's where I give credit to Game Freak. All right, Pokemon Company, Game Freak. You guys have a hard job trying to not copy other people, because there's so many concepts that I see where I'm like, if I draw this is pretty much going to be copy paste. Like it's just, I don't see how I make this different than this artist here.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they've been like, I know people want like a new evolution, but people have drawn so many evolutions. If I was an artist, I'd be like, you know what? I honestly would give up, because there's so much stuff.
So
you don't want to copy a community fan's work and they like, oh yeah, I made this, but then but also at the same time, I'm like, look, Pokemon just hire some of these artists. Like
that's what I'm saying. I was like, these people are doing great. Some people, like you brought up True Green 7, like he's almost like mastered that Pokemon look, where like a lot of his designs like look like they could be made from Pokemon Company. They like legit look like it.
You've seen his growth, and I think another one, Dark and Windy, that man has created over 2,000 fake emotes. All right, I don't know how his hands still work. I just don't. It makes no sense. But he's created so many Pokemon with so many different, archetypes and designs and patterns, and there's just so many. And there is artists who get like point to point Pokemon style. Like they were just gifted enough to draw exactly how they do it in Pokemon. They studied it, and it's just been really great. So I think just drawing was a pain. Naming was a pain, and even abilities. Actually, abilities might be number one. Either making abilities was fun, but I can't make them overpowered. So that was also where I was like drawing the line. If I make this Pokemon too strong, I remember for the regional bird, Avasaur, he's a dark and flying type, but I based it off of Nero from Black Clover, which he has like sealing and lock magic. So I was like, oh, when I first made the Pokemon and I put it into the video, I was like, oh, the ability, I thought about this literally off the cuff while I was recording it. I was like, it blocks fairy moves and didn't even like think anything of it. At the time, I was like, oh, that is cracked. I was like, this Pokemon
that's broken. That is power.
I was like,
that's
this is not
power.
This is not balanced. So then whenever I redid the design, I was like, oh, the actual ability is still similar to this, but instead it actually just converts fairy type moves to just 50% of their damage. So it cuts the fairy type moves in half, so it doesn't absolutely obliterate the bird. I was like, okay, I made that pretty OP at the beginning. So it just, there's so many abilities out there. You don't want to make too many like the other. And you want to make sure it's balanced enough so people, if this was turned into a fan game, can people enjoy the abilities I have, or do I have to make another new abilities to compensate for what I tried to make?
Balancing sounds like a nightmare. Like another shout out to Game Freak that they just like all this stuff just kind of works. Like that's insane.
It's kind of crazy. And I feel like as far as like I don't do stats on mine. I feel like I could, but stat distribution, I can imagine that's just probably like it gets weird. This Pokemon, like it looks buff, but then what if it's just not a good attacker? And then you're like, I don't know what to. There's just so many ways you can tackle stat distribution. I feel like they can really have fun with it. But a lot of parts, as far as something that was easy, I would say some concepts were just easy. Like some concepts, I would literally like be going to bed, literally about to lay my head in the bed for the night. I'm like, oh,
head's about to hit the pillow.
That's a banger. Let me go ahead and jot that in the notes, right? Save it in the notes, and literally when I come home the next day from work, I'm like sketching it out, getting it out there. Or if I'm not working on it myself, I'm having the artist that I commissioned, hey, can you get the sketch done for this so I can kind of get the idea? We go back and forth, and then we create something. So it's I feel like because I wasn't bound, it was easier. I could say, what is that? Oh, that's a PS5. We're making a PS5 Pokemon. It was just really what I wanted. Which again, I'm glad that.
Hey, new Rotom form. Let's go.
Hey,
look, which I ended up doing, which I was super excited about. But yeah, I feel like I wasn't bound to as many restrictions as someone who says, "Hey, I'm just making my Pokemon region off Dominican Republic," and then obviously you're set to things that are from or around or inside of that area. So. Yeah, I'm glad that I had some really good freedom, which I feel like people just really dive into it. If you want to base, look, I'm waiting for someone to make a full-fledged like Naruto Pokemon region. I'm here for all the anime. Your starters are there. Your starters are there. You could do a frog, a slug, and a snake. That's already Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. Your starters are done. Are they different? Absolutely. But just have fun with it. Like it's I think that's the cool thing about Fakemon is you're only bound to what you want to set yourself with.
Right.
Just draw. Just come up with the concept. If it's crazy, it's crazy. Just let it flow. People are gonna like it. Someone's gonna enjoy this design somewhere. So
So is Calamity 100% Fakemon, or do you have no wait, you said that you have some existing Pokemon. Did you make new like regional variants?
Yeah. So we made some regional variants. I love a lot of them. I think we did really cool. So a lot of the fan favorite ones is the Arcanine. Arcanine was one I wanted to do immediately, right?
Yeah, that one turned out really cool.
I really like what I did with that one. I worked with Ellie on that one. I mean, Elle just sat down and like, hey, concept.
I hate to interrupt you, but Elle's map designs, oh my god,
so good.
Like makes the coolest looking map.
Kills it every single time. They just really put in the work and was one of my partners in crime in making Neos. It honestly probably wouldn't be as fluid if Elle wasn't there to help me. Because like we sat down, I came up with the basic concept for Arcanine. I said, you know what? I love Arcanine. It's been a recent Pokemon I've enjoyed from like Sword and Shield, funny enough, because I've been using it in competitive. I was like, this Pokemon is known to be the legendary Pokemon, right? Yeah. What's legendary about it? I need something to spice it up. So then I kind of flipped it on his head. I said, let's do something a little bit different. First of all, let's make it a water type. I've seen this concept used before.
Ooh, yeah.
Some people thought back in Sun and Moon we're going to get like a water Arcanine.
I remember that. Yep.
So I was like, let's flip it on his head. Let's make it a water type. But then I said, you know what? Let's keep it. Let's give it something unique. There's only one other Pokemon that's a water and fire type, and that's Volcanion. So I was like, let's make Arcanine that. Now it's like a Steam legendary alongside this Pokemon, but it's not like just legendary. You can catch a Growlithe. It's a little bit more rare, but you can access it. And we really played into that. So it evolves just like regular Arcanine with the Firestone. Just becomes a water and fire type. So it's a really cool design. We pulled in elements from like the beta Suicune to like really enhance to give that legendary feel.
That's really cool.
And I loved how it just turned out. The shiny reverts back to like original Arcanine colors. I thought just a really cool one that I liked. Another fan favorite was the Tauros. Tauros was a really big fan favorite of a lot of people. They were messaging me saying, "Is this legit? Is this real?" I was like, which funny enough, obviously they came out with 3 Tauros later on.
Right. For Scarlet and
Violet. But yeah, I did like this was based off of just like the Black Clover hideout. I was like, I want something defensive. And same thing, me and Elle just sat down and we just came up with this cool concept, and it was just essentially like an armored up Tauros. It has like these nice jagged designs, so it has like this rough exterior, but I wanted to like show that it's embraceable. It has really big legs and everything to show that it has strength, and it's a dark and fighting type. And I think it came out amazing. It's honestly one of my favorites that was designed amongst like the regional forms. And we did like a couple more that I like as well. I think like the Skitty one's really good. No one talks about Skitty. Like who's ever
you gave some love to Skitty? That's awesome. Skitty needs some love.
That was one thing I appreciated. I went back and I was like, what Pokemon need a little love? I was like, I saw Skitty and this like little clip, and I was like, Skitty needs something.
Skitty needs some love. Right? That's awesome.
And then even doing a design for, we did like the Rotom, which was cool. I just like we just needed a Rotom. Let's get Rotom out there. We did like Rotom. It's an electric steel type, but it's like a drone because electric flying was taking. I would have just done electric flying, but it was what it was. And there was a couple more that we did, but like those probably the ones that people really enjoyed the most. So yeah, we inserted a couple of regional Pokemon so people have those iconic Pokemon they can still enjoy. Hopefully a couple are people's fan favorites. There was a lot more that got scrapped that I just didn't use. Like I really wanted to do a regional Impidimp. I love the Impidimp.
That would have been interesting. So regional Grimmsnarl.
That would have been really cool. So I was gonna go basic, not gonna lie. I was gonna go Fire Dark. It was gonna be this really cool. Like it was supposed to be like the ace for the Fire Gym leader. And I was like, but then I was like, you know what? Nah, I don't want to use this right now. I was like, it eventually just didn't sit as well, and then we ended up using the fire typing for a different Pokemon, which was like Fuecub in that line where it's a split Evo. We just split Evo like a male and female lion Pokemon. Really, really cool. And that turned out great. So it's a lot of Pokemon got scrapped. So maybe one day if I need to like dip into the vault, I can always pull from that. But making regional forms was like kind of a must. I feel like for
I think that's like what people love now. People expect regional forms in games.
Yeah. It's like base minimum.
That's one of my favorite aspects about the fan games and stuff. It's like taking an unloved Pokemon like Skitty, like you're talking about, and sprucing it up and hopefully getting it on someone's team to like discover a Pokemon that they never would have used before, or coming up with new evolutions for existing Pokemon. I played, what was it? I think it was Infinity. They had like a super cool evolution of Marowak. They had a new version of the Nido evolutions is like Nido Rook, and it was
that's really cool. I like that.
Some new evolutions of existing Pokemon, I think, is just another cool avenue. And that's one thing I like to come and just sit down and brainstorm of like, what would be a cool thing you could do to insert Pokemon? Like, how could we spice this up a little bit? It's just a fun thing to try to conceptualize.
There was a lot of ideas, and I look back and I'm like, oh, I wish I did this. Like, so I went through Kanto and I looked and said, what Pokemon don't have anything special, right?
Right.
I thought about doing something for like Seal and Dugong, probably the most basic Pokemon Kanto has left. I thought of something, but then I was like, I don't know how I can implement it, how it's going to work, where it's going to be. So I ended up scrapping that one. I did something cool with Noctowl, or actually scrap that. I did something cool with Hoot Hoot to where it's a split Evo with Noctowl. So it can go And so obviously go to Knocked Out, or can go to another Pokemon we named Gal, which is a ghost.
Ooh. That's a cool name too. I love that.
We brought in the elements from pretty much just the beta Knocked Out, which I dipped into beta Pokemon for this region. I was like, there's so many cool beta Pokemon. The designs are they old? Yeah, of course they're old, but they're really cool. And I feel like there's something you could do with them. So we grabbed that one. So what I did was I turned Gal. It's the Spectre Pokemon. It kind of hangs around graveyards, and you evolve it with the Reaper Cloth, which is an item that's like barely used at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Really cool Pokemon. Instead of it having like actual legs and things like that, and like, you know, the not horns or whatever, like long eyelashes, they're actually like ghostly flames that just kind of keeps his body intact. So sweet. We kind of we play around with a lot of those concepts. I thought about some cool stuff for like Breloom, and I looked back at Galar. Since Galar is a newer region, I was like, do I want to dip too much into this with it being new at the time? I was like, I really wanted to get all 3 starters for Galar. I wanted to get them and add the secondary typing to them. I've been even now I'm fighting myself on if I still want to do it or not.
That would be cool. That'd be cool to give them the secondary typing that they deserve
so badly. I just want to be like, I just want to fire electric Cinderace. I just want it to be a thing. And I've been back and forth on that. I feel like, you know, maybe another time, another day, I'll jump back to it.
Man, it's also fire electric Cinderace would be wild. Give him Plasma Fist. He's super fast.
There's so many cool concepts, and I feel like I even looked back at like Gen 2. You know, anyone who knows me, who's seen the content, you've watched the pod, I hate Meganium. I don't like the Chikorita line. I'm not a fan.
Dare you?
I get all the time, especially with Bayleaf. Everyone's like, oh, it's Ash's. I'm like, look, I don't care. That's the only reason Bayleaf gets a pass is because
it's Ash's Pokemon.
Like, I could care less about the line. I feel like Pokemon had an opportunity. They went back and updated certain Pokemon's typing. Why is it Meganium, Grass, and Fairy?
Like, it should be Grass and Fairy, and like ROM hacks, it's Grass and Fairy. That's like the perfect typing for Meganium.
It's literally there. I feel like there's a lot of Pokemon they can go back and update the typings for. So that's what I tried to do with some of my regional formulas. If I could add that secondary typing or update them with that typing alongside what other typing we did, but I really tried to push for a lot of original Pokemon. I really wanted to set a precedent, like, hey, this is the Neos region, and this is something new, and we have new Pokemon. Let's show you guys what we have. So
yeah, that's awesome. So we'll kind of wrap up here because I don't want to keep you all night. I know you're a busy man. So I have 2 more questions. First off, out of all the fan games ROM hacks you may have played, or even with what you're doing with Calamity, do you see any, like, maybe a mechanic, a feature, some sort of addition that they added, whether it's like a quality of life thing or whatever, that any of these fan games or ROM hacks have added to the game that you think Game Freak and the Pokemon Company could borrow to help improve the official games? Like, is there one thing that sticks out from a game where you're like, man, if an official Pokemon game had this, it's like game over?
That's really good. So like, even though I haven't finished it, I think one of my favorite Pokemon games is Xenoverse. I think that team destroyed. They just modeled it just perfection. Though they didn't introduce anything crazy like that's like quality of life. Like, it was pretty balanced on just I would say, I guess one thing they can take from a lot of these games is it's maybe insert the challenge modes. I know a lot of the more Latin-based games or Latin creators are adding in base game challenge modes. Pokemon is a game now where if you've been in the game for a while, they're pretty easy. You capture it, you train, the XP shares a thing. There's hot takes on that. Like, I'm too grown to be grinded. I can't.
I feel that. Say it for the people in the back.
Oh my goodness, I'm not looking to grind all day. People like, oh, why they have? I'm like, bro, if you don't like it, then just train one Pokemon.
I ain't got time for it.
No one cares. I love the fact that my team is
grinding.
It's just too much. But I think adding in like just a difficulty spike, that would be really cool. I know they did do this with Gen 5, and they were like, oh, that never happened. I don't know what you guys are talking about. But I know a lot of fan games introduce like a challenge mode off rip. Like you can just hop to the game with a harder difficulty, which I feel like would really push fans who have been playing Pokemon for so long. There's so many of us who already know the stats, the strats, what's good, what's not. And a lot of people do look up like, what's coming out with the game before it even drops. So it'd be cool to have like a challenge mode to like push that limit. I want to be able to like play a game and almost have like that Volo moment where I'm like, yo,
I want to get washed. Somebody destroy me. I need this.
Like I wouldn't mind if I go to the first gym and I just got destroyed. I was like, whoa, okay. Well, it looks like it's not going to work like this. I need to actually go capture some good Pokemon. I need to go do this. It'd be just cool to have that challenge aspect. And I think a lot of the fan games do it well. And then I guess maybe better events. Xenoverse fan game, but had events. I think that was really, really cool. Like bringing back old Pokemon and like certain storylines that, you don't have to pay for. Just be really, really cool. So I think that's super dope. And they even insert like, obviously Pokemon wouldn't do this, but they insert like beta Pokemon like events, which was really cool. But I think that'd be cool. Just like bringing back like some of those like, classic or iconic events like Jirachi event from Pokemon Stadium or something. Or just like bringing back like those iconic things would be really cool. I think could work.
You know what's a good mechanic, and I think it's in Radical Red, the Pokevile. Being able to heal up a whole squad like without having to go to a Pokemon Center is huge. It's such a big game changer.
So I didn't get too deep on Radical Red because it just I can't. I could not. Like I played
that game. Like, you talk about games gonna beat your ass. That game will kick you down.
That one will. Yeah, that'll get you. But funny enough, Temtem does the same thing with the it's a Messence file. And I love that feature. I love the fact that I can be deep into whatever area I'm at in the Temtem world, in the whatever that thing. I can't forget that word right now, but just in the world of Temtem, and I can just hop and heal my whole team on command. No having to run all the way back through this town, this Pokemon Center. I can just heal up instantly, which I really appreciate. So that's probably what I think just challenge mode off rip. Give us challenge mode. I'm an adult. I can play Pokemon. All right, I can give it to me. I got it. And then I would say I think that is one really cool feature is having it to where you can like have your Pokemon fully healed. Like don't partially heal them. Fully heal my Pokemon while I'm like deep in like Glimwood Tangle or something. Like just have it set for me. So that'd be really cool.
Nice. And last, you're our first interview for PokéBoys. So one thing that we like to do on Showboys when we interview guests, we always ask them what they're watching or playing. So I wanted to come up with something Pokemon related that we're going to ask all of our future guests. So I need to know your favorite generation, your favorite Pokemon type, and then we already know your favorite Pokemon, but what's your favorite?
All right. So favorite generation, Gen 4. I am a Sinnoh. I'm a Sinnoh boy through and through. Diamond and Pearl, the games, the anime converted me. All right. Look, I would say though, close second, Galar. I loved Galar. I think that a lot of people didn't like it for Dexit reasons. Me personally, I think Dexit
it was blown out of proportion.
100%.
We don't need all these Mon back.
No, because you guys are going to use the same 20 Mons in competitive anyway.
No.
What was the point? So yeah, Galar's a close second. As far as my favorite typing, it's fighting. Fighting is my favorite typing. There's so many Pokemon I really enjoy in there because I was always torn. Like I want Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan. Who am I going to add to the team? Those were always cool. And then obviously Infernape's the thing. So that to answer that question, my favorite Pokemon, of course. And I was always back and forth like what I always look for a fighting type. That is one thing about every single game is I look for a fighting type. Funny enough though, and I think the Scarlet Violet, I don't think I added one. I was back and forth with this team a bit because there was like Flamigo, and I was like, nah. Don't want Flamigo on the team.
I love Flamigo. I love my boy.
I like it, but I was like, oh, the team is the main fighter. No,
that's fair.
I think that was one thing I wish that game had was like a little bit more fighting. I don't remember who else like new fighting types they added. Flamigo was one.
Is Annihilate Ghost fighting?
Oh, okay. See, here's the thing. I didn't add Annihilate because I had Skelly Dirt, and I was like, I'm not gonna double type these. I was like, I want to add it.
So good.
Okay, actually, no. Annihilate is the go-to that I would have chose. But Skelly Dirt was there. I'm like, I'm not looking to get destroyed by dark type Pokemon right now. So I was like, it'll be just a sit and miss. When I replay the game again, I'll add Annihilate onto the team. Yep. He'll be the ace for sure. Because I do like Primeape. So yeah.
Well, I lied. 2 more things.
Okay, sure.
Have you ever played this gym of mine?
This gym of mine. I don't think I have.
It's a hack where you play as a gym leader, and at the beginning of the game, you pick a type, and you have to build your team only using that type. And it's
interesting.
It's super, super fun. But when you're talking about fighting, I was just like, I bet.
I might
this gym of mine be a fighting gym leader. Let's go.
I might have to do it. I think that'd be cool. That was one thing that I like. I guess everyone always has that. I remember that was like a trend a couple years ago. It was like my Pokemon gym.
If I was a gym leader, this is my team.
This is my team. This is the puzzle. This is how it goes. So yeah, no, I'd be actually down to do it. I might have to maybe I'll stream it or something. That'd be really cool.
That'd be really cool.
And lastly, we talked about your YouTube channel, and you guys can find him Infamous Trainer on YouTube, at Infamous Trainer on the Twitter, and I'm sure probably Instagram is the same.
Someone is vile and took Infamous Trainer.
Oh, how dare!
Shame.
Yeah, it's Infamous Trainer DA, because I just was like, whatever. I guess this will have to fit. So yeah, I love Infamous Trainer on Instagram as well.
But you brought up during the interview here, you also do a podcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have the Champion League podcast. It's myself, Hybrid Hero, Lumious Trainer Zach, the PokeRap, and JPR. Just 5 Pokebros coming together, talking about sometimes Pokemon, sometimes we talk about cereal, sometimes we talk about games that we're playing. I know we actually have a pod coming up soon here. The day we're recording this video, it's tomorrow. And I think we're just doing a tangent podcast. We're just going to go crazy. We have so much stuff. We haven't actually done a podcast in about 2 weeks because we've just all been busy, then holidays. So we took a bit of a break, and we said, cool. And we just have so much stuff between all the recent stuff with we talk about a lot of superhero stuff over on our podcast. So all the Deadpool stuff came out, DC stuff came out.
Right. Ooh, so the Deadpool stuff. I'm so pumped for that.
See Wolverine's suit.
Oh yeah. So nice. Took them forever, but
about time, Jesus.
But really cool to see it. So yeah, we have a great time talking about everything from Pokemon to food to relationships to just whatever kind of comes up. Love hanging out with those guys. So you guys, definitely can check that out as well. We have a good time, and we invite everybody. Everyone come in. We just like to vibe, chill, and talk. That's
there
all.
You go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And where can they find you again?
Yeah. So as far as me, again, you can find us. So as far as me, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and you can pretty much type in Infamous Trainer. They should pull up. As far as the Champion League pod, it's going to be Champion League, Pokemon Champion League podcast over on YouTube, and then Champion Pod League on Twitter. So you guys can check us out there. Oh, we've also been on Threads. Threads is the thing now.
There you go.
Threads are thing. You gotta get on Threads, baby.
On Threads, so Infamous Trainer on Threads, and then I'm pretty sure Raph is working on the Threads for the pod. I don't know. He's the social media man of our team. So I'll let him figure that out.
Well, we will be sure to include all those links in our episode description for you guys to easily maneuver over to the Champions League pod and all of Infamous Trainer stuff. Again, thank you, sir, for coming on.
Yeah, man, it was a great time, dude.
And man, thank you guys for having me. This was super fun.
I hope this episode has held you guys over before season 2 started. We're ready. We're excited for the draft lock, so much so that Jared painted his living room wall to match the emerald theme.
That's how much dedication I have to you guys. I will paint my walls for you.
Yeah. It's crazy. I could never. So
yeah, we hope to see you guys soon. Thanks again, and we'll see you in season 2.
Peace out, guys.
Bye.